Well, just to answer the broader question you asked first, I mean, it's a great one, but we tend to look at where the most animals are suffering the most. And we also look at areas where other groups are not working on things. Wool is one of them. There are very few organizations, other than those who are trying to stop, these one or two cruelties, who are working to really eliminate the use of wool. And part of it too is that we've done these undercover investigations and we've exposed this cruelty and we've tried to stop it, and we can't. I mean, it really blows your mind when you can go to South America, you can go to Australia, New Zealand, the UK, US, every single place we go, we find the same thing where workers are just beating and kicking and punching
Mhm.
and cutting them to shreds with the shears and throwing them down chutes. It it's so abhorrent. And we've also done investigations into cashmere goats, into mohair, into angora, and to alpaca. We've exposed every single one of these industries where if you stop selling one, if they stop selling angora, they move on to mohair. If they stop selling mohair, they move on to
Yeah.
something else. And so we keep exposing every single one. And all of these things also help us convince the companies that they need to move away from animal materials entirely. But we also need to educate the public because the companies will change when they think that's what the public wants. And, we tell them all the time, look, somebody doesn't come into the store and think, oh, I need to buy a wool sweater. They come into the store to buy something pretty, something warm, something fashionable, something that will last. They don't care what it's made of. They don't even look. Um, and that's what these companies are now finding out because we're really pushing. And then they're hearing from a lot more people now. They're seeing people outside of their stores who are leafleting or protesting, and it's making them think. They tell us these things. Sometimes it takes them a while to admit it, but it does happen.
Yeah. My next question, which I do have them written down here, I don't just make them up on the fly, but it's kind of interesting because it just keys into that. And you've kind of answered it, but I'm going to repeat it in case you have anything to add. Where do you find the balance between focusing on encouraging individuals to change, which PETA does a lot of? It
Mm.
really reaches out to, people who are not on board yet and trying to get them to change. And focusing on institutional animal users and abusers to stop or be forced to stop. Is it always like kind of a yin and yang that you're trying to balance those two elements?
I wouldn't say yin and yang. I mean, at our core, we're the envelope pushers. I mean, we our goal is to keep these issues in the forefront of people's minds every single day because if they're not thinking about it, they're not talking about it, they're not changing. And so we do look every single day at how can we get this issue or that in front of people? What will make them think, whether it's on social media or through the media or through emails or texts or whatever. And so we do both. I mean, it's not one or the other. It's both. We do a lot of work behind the scenes to try and institute change while we are pushing the public to think
Right.
beyond what they ordinarily would think.
Right. And I mean, I know also that PETA has always, I mean, not only the work behind the scenes, but you do an enormous amount of, you do legal work, you do a lot of research. There's a lot that goes on at PETA that people don't see, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, our campaigns are quirky stunts in our campaigns. Everybody knows that, and that's fine.
Right.
That's what we love. But we're also out there feeding people vegan food. We believe that there's so much awareness now. I mean, there was a time maybe less than 10 years ago where people didn't even know what vegan was. We made a conscious decision at some point in the last 10 years. We're going to start really pushing vegan, not vegetarian, but vegan. And it took a while, but now everybody knows what that is. But a lot of people have reluctance to try it. And so we believe and we know that if they try it, they will be more open to it and they will consider it when they get hit with all these other messages. And so we just did a cheese giveaway, 50,000 pieces of cheese, vegan cheese to people in different cities. We just launched an ice cream truck where you have to scream for vegan ice cream. And that's touring the country right now because
That's
we
so
know that if
PETA.
yeah, so the kids have to come up and scream, and then they get their choice of a free vegan ice cream.
That's really cute.
So we're out there doing that. We give away tofurkeys and other vegan turkeys at Thanksgiving. It wasn't I mean, when I first started at PETA, I remember doing radio interviews from morning till night because they could not believe we were suggesting that you not eat turkey on Thanksgiving. This was just mind blowing, you know?
Yeah.
And now everybody knows somebody
Yeah.
who's vegan or comes to their Thanksgiving who doesn't eat meat. And so we've just seen such enormous change and everything seems to work. But you know, one of the things Ingrid said to me is if you always succeed, you're not trying hard enough.
Oh, that
And
makes
so,
so
you know,
much sense.
yeah, and so
That's so
yeah,
Ingrid.
it's so Ingrid, and you know, we'll try pretty much anything to get attention. Some works, some doesn't. If it works, we do it again. If it doesn't, we'll still probably try it again. But you know, whatever we can do to just keep these messages coming.
What about government work? I mean, I've interviewed your lawyers a number of times.
Yeah,
So I mean, you have an effective legal department that brings really interesting cases. I don't think that's how a lot of people think of PETA, but these are really insane times. And are
yeah,
there any governmental entities that, in the US, and I'm talking about the US mostly,
yeah,
legislative or administrative, anywhere, who are
yeah.
likely to be open to animal-based arguments in these crazy times?
Absolutely. I mean, there is no like people care about animals across the spectrum. We have Republicans,
That's
we
a
have
huge big
Democrats.
deal,
We
isn't it?
It
It's
really
the
is, and
only
I
issue
think
left.
it really is the one issue I feel like where it doesn't matter what your political views are. If you care, you care. And I think that has afforded us a lot of opportunities that maybe others aren't right now. I mean, we've been working very closely and pushing, I might add, the National Institutes of Health to step up and act to stop funding animal experiments. And we're seeing a lot of change there. A lot
There's
is
a lot
happening.
going on there, isn't there, at the
There's a
NIH? What
lot
is
going
going
on.
on? It's crazy. I keep hearing about successes.
Well, I think part of it is that, you know, we've been working behind the scenes with some of the career folks at the NIH, and they're still there, and they're working with those who are now in power and having an impact because they're open to these issues. So we're really seeing a lot of change there. We do work on some legislation. You know, we're pushing the Cargo Act, which would eliminate funding for animal experiments internationally since there's literally no oversight and we spend millions of dollars. But we also work in local city councils. I mean, just in the past year or two, we've had the first ever ban on glue traps. And we had 2 cities now that have banned glue traps. The first ban in Ojai of the breathing impaired breeds, you know, the French bulldogs and the bulldogs and other dogs with the flat faces who
Right.
can't breathe. Um, and so we're doing a lot. You know, there have been several bans on the breeding of birds and the sale of birds and parrots. You know, I live here in Los Angeles, and there are parrots that fly free every day. People say they're annoyed to hear it. To me, it is the sound of freedom. And, you know, I think people really are opening their mind to the fact that caging a bird, especially a parrot, someone who's going to live 60, 80, even longer years, probably outlive each of us, they understand that this isn't right. And I think in a place like LA, where you can see them every day flying, it really kind of hits that message home. So we're starting to see more local bans on things like that too.
These are all great successes, but I'm kind of wondering, like, did you think it would be this hard? You know, looking back on college graduate Tracy, like, all excited going to work at PETA. Did you think this would be easier? Does it shock you? I like people love animals, not
Yeah.
everybody, but most people, a lot of people. And
Oh,
it's really easy to not exploit them. Like,
yeah.
seriously, I thought this would be much easier.
Well, I kind of am the opposite because I think when I first started, we would work for years to get one little victory.
Right.
And
Right.
now, I mean, and I have the benefit of being here and seeing everything happen every day. I mean, there are victories every week on one thing or another. And so I feel like it's hard to feel like we're succeeding when there is just so much horrific abuse still happening and new things that we learn about every day that just blow my mind. But I think so much has changed, and we're really making great progress. I fear I will never be out of a job, but but I think that every year gets better, and easier, and people are more open.